In today's video, we are going to review Buffer's public roadmap to see if there is a strategic alignment between the items they have there and the strategies that they have defined. Why we want to do this is because there's a ton of research done out there that proves that a lot of the development done by many companies, in some cases up to 80%, is actually wasted and it doesn't get or bring value to the customers or to the business. So we want to see from public roadmaps how it is or how are they aligned to their strategic goals. So without any delay, let's go and check out the roadmap from Buffer. First of all, if somebody from Buffer is watching, thank you very much for having a public roadmap because it brings a ton of visibility and understanding what is that it's going on. And maybe one comment, if I understand this roadmap clearly, this is based on suggestions from the users. So all these are suggestions that users or customers from Buffer are putting into this roadmap. So not necessarily put by somebody in the product team from Buffer and inserted here. And if you don't know what Buffer is, just very quickly, they built a tool to basically help creators to publish the content or marketing teams to publish content to different social media platforms. So they have integrations to, as you can see, most of the most common social media platforms like Instagram, Threads, TikTok, X, YouTube, others that probably I don't know about. But we are here to review the roadmap. So how is this categorized? The roadmap has mainly two types of features. One, what they call new channel requests. So as you can imagine, Buffer main goal is to integrate into different social media. So the new channel request means that somebody's asking to integrate to a new channel that potentially they are not yet supporting. So here you can see Reddit, Telegram, Discord, and so on. And they have what they are called feature suggestions. So they don't call them feature requests because that has a really bad rep nowadays. So they call them feature suggestions. And maybe a feature suggestion is something that is more understandable for a common user than a feature request. Maybe I don't know why they call it like that, to be honest. I'm just guessing now. But so, and then they have different stages. So they have a new stage, so new suggestion, new request. Another one for block by API limitation. We'll dive deeper into this one later. And they have interesting ones, thinking about it, Sunday, and I'm guessing that the more you move towards the right, the more likely this is going to happen. So they're thinking that maybe they're analyzing the viability, does this make business sense, whatnot. Sunday is something that potentially is like a backlog, things that maybe we could have at some point. A backlog to start picking for plan in the future. Then potentially you have the plans. So I guess that the Sunday is a little bit like some things that have been validated to a certain degree. That's my guess. And I'm guessing here, I have not talked with anybody from Buffer to get this information, by the way. And then they have plan, which are things that probably they're going to be working over this year. And then they have what is in progress. So being developed at this point, what are in beta, being tested, and what has been released recently. If you go to some of these posts, you can see the number of upvotes that the post has, the description, and some comments from the community. If we go back here, now what I did here, my process to analyze this was basically to bring, not all of them, because there's a lot, especially if you go into these columns, there's a lot of items. So I didn't go through all of them, but I took the ones in the top. So at least what is visible here in the landing page, and I scroll a bit down, so I might have taken one or two that were when you scroll down. So that's what I took into an Excel or actually Google Sheets. And I took all the information that is from here. I took the title, I took the number of upvotes. I also took if it's a new channel request or if it's a feature suggestion, and I end up basically with this table, which might be a bit too small. Let's see, can we zoom in here? Let's put it a bit bigger so maybe you can read better. So there we go. And now you can see all the requests that have been here, the tasks that they are in the roadmap, how many votes, what are the stages, what was the type of suggestion. And then I did kind of my own category because there's so many of them that it's difficult for me to understand what is that they are driving or how they are helping the product. So basically, I end up with these categories: publishing integration, channel optimization, content management, analytics, account management, affiliate program, and UX. They could be renamed. They as you can imagine, there's sometimes topics that could be overlapping and could be in several of them, but I try to create these buckets to understand better what is the distribution of the items that are in the roadmap. And then I took a look into Buffer's strategy. I was lucky to find this blog post. They have a ton of blogs, by the way, or posts. Okay, this was a shareholder update. Sorry, not a blog, but they have a ton in their blog as well of information that they are sharing. But in this one, they are actually also sharing their strategy. So there are different things on their strategy. And of course, they're never going to share their whole strategy in this kind of communication, but it's going to give you hints of where the company wants to go. So the first one is profitability, or aiming for profitability. They are profitable already, apparently in that quarter or the year was profitable, but now they're aiming to be profitable from now on, or that was my understanding. So yeah, they're talking here that they're on track on 2025 to increase the net profit by 5x or more. So that's one of their aims. So probably there's some cost-cutting measures. I'm not saying that they're firing people. That's probably not the case. I honestly have no idea, but I'm pretty sure that they're focusing more on how to be profitable at this point, and maybe not to spend or increase costs so much. Let's maybe not say that they will do cut costs, because I don't know, but they're probably going to be looking into no increase their cost and looking more for profitability. And now then the next one is the doubling down or down and wide strategy. Sorry, that was difficult to say for me. But in essence, what this means is that they're focusing on acquiring a large number of smaller customers by providing accessible, easy to use, and affordable social media management. So that's kind of my guess based on what I understand it's their customer base. So basically doubling down on their current customer base and actually expanding the amount of users, but also expanding probably the number of connections that they have. And the other one that is interesting here is that they are talking about reintroducing the public API. So I guess that in the past, they have had some kind of a public API. Remember that here it talks about block by API limitation. This is my understanding. Again, I have not talked with anybody from Buffer, so I'm a little bit, trying to guess what's going on here. But for me, block by API limitation means that every time that they have to integrate to a new social media, they have to create the APIs to integrate with them. When you're talking about the public API, and based on what I understood from the items that are in the roadmap, what they seem to be talking more about is to enabling automation for their users and positioning more of them like of a platform that users can build an ecosystem around, which I think is a very powerful move. It's going to help a lot for big businesses and probably consulting companies that can help creating different automations and potentially even selling them. I don't know if that's the direction that they are going to, but that could be potentially a model that they could be looking into when building this public API. But for me, and to my understanding, this public API has nothing to do with the API limitations that they are talking about here, because these are related to integrating or creating the links and the communication between Buffer and, for example, Reddit or Telegram or whatever they have existing already with something like Instagram. So if we summarize the strategy for Buffer, and I'm talking about product strategy. I cannot talk about go-to-market strategy. I don't know if they're focusing more on certain geographies, on certain industries. This is something that I don't have that knowledge, and they might be going on something in that direction that is a strategic move. But to be honest, I don't know, and I don't have that visibility. So I'm looking more in product strategy. So if we summarize the product strategy, I would say that for me, the most important aspects for buffer, first of all, is this down and wide strategy, basically reinforcing what they have for existing type of customers and expanding the number of integrations that they have. And the other one is publishing this open API, basically enabling automation and customization potentially of Buffer's platform to create more like an ecosystem. What I did next to understand how the roadmap actually aligns or not with this strategy, after I have categorized the items, the features per topic, is that I compare how many features are by comparing their stage and the topic. So first of all, I have these different stages. They are not in the order there, they're just in alphabetical order. Thank you, Google Sheets. But anyways, I didn't bother to change that, so no worries about that. And then we have the topics that I added there. So you could argue that the topics that align the best with the different strategies are this one and this one, because they are the ones that are related to expanding the number of integrations, managing the content for the customers. There are these ones of channel optimization that, of course, is improving the way that different integrations with different channels are working. So improving the Instagram link or whatnot, that could also help. But these are more optimization than having like expanding too much, but it goes a little bit in the down strategy or in the down part of the strategy. And the next thing that I look into was that, well, if you are saying that you are committed to your strategy, this means that items that are in progress should be quite much in those strategic areas. And this is maybe one of the things that I found that maybe there is not so much alignment in progress, sorry, typo there. But when you think about the items that are in the different categories, you can see that in content management, that yes, is probably part of the down and wide strategy. There are some, but sorry, it's more on the downside. There's not so much on the wide because there's no new integrations there. And even the channel optimization is missing there. So there's no integrations or there's no channel optimizations when you go here and look at these different items. And that was kind of a concerning thing that, well, maybe those are not that relevant, or maybe they are not at this point, maybe they are coming maybe a little bit later. But then when I look at Sunday, again, there's not much. There's some optimization, and then thinking about it again, there's some optimization, but again, there's no new integrations. And you can see that blocked by API limitation. Of course, there are several of them, and there are different changes to the current channels that are blocked because of the API limitations. So we'll come back to that one in a bit. So when I review the in progress items, I would say that this item clearly, it helps the, how is it called, public API strategy. The down and wide strategy, I would say that has two parts. Down is continue developing or reinforcing the development for existing customers. And then there's the wide, which is going for wider audience in the way of wider I'm interpreting this as going for wider integrations. I would say there's nothing here for the wide part. I might be wrong. But then the other ones is, okay, dark mode, which is an interesting one, something that many people want. I'm not sure how much value in reality has, but again, it's interesting definitely for some people. So it might be helpful for people that are definitely working in the evenings and so on. So you don't have a very bright screen that it's hurting your eyes. So that's a quality of life. I don't know if it's going for the down strategy. I would not think so. Then channel groups, manage content. This is more content management. This potentially is more in the down strategy. And this is more about the analytics, again, potentially about the down strategy. And all this, you could argue that they are related to the improving the offer or the existing offer for existing customers, basically. So now that we have looked into the roadmap and really try to understand better what's the situation, how the different items align or not with the different strategies, there are things that I'm going to talk about now, what works and potentially maybe what could be improved in the future. And I will also talk in the later stages what are some maybe notes and recommendations from my point of view, of course. So first of all, what it works for me, that there's a clear alignment with the vision and the down and wide strategy, and potentially also to the public API strategy, because it might be that they don't require much more than what it's already in that item there. Maybe they require more. Having worked with different APIs, usually you require quite a bit of work. It's an ongoing thing with APIs, but hey, I don't know the scope of the API or anything like that. So it might be that this is already enough. So many items, particularly under the optimization integration and publishing integration topics that I created, there are that really support these strategies. And there are highly voted requests for different channels or new channels like Reddit, or Telegram, Discord. So this is definitely also looking into the wide strategy. So those items are in the roadmap and they have been suggested by the customers. There is a strategic support for retention. Definitely retention, I don't think is their problem. They probably care a lot about existing customers. So the roadmap focuses a lot on improving existing channels, improving content management, and all these things in a way are supporting the retention, are supporting the down part of the strategy. I think that it's a great value that this is a community-driven roadmap. These are suggestions from the public. I don't think that there's direct input or there's direct or items that have been directly added by somebody or like a product manager from Buffer. It sounds like everything has been driven by the community, but they're strategically prioritized. So why do I say this? If we look again to the roadmap, we look at what is in progress and even what is planned or what is in here in the beta. The beta has 25 votes. There's items here with 1,000 votes, 300, 200, whatnot. So there's items that have a lot of votes, but there's items here that have very few votes. These are probably because they are related to more strategic items or urgent matters from Buffer's point of view that need to be addressed. And this is why those ones are there. So I would say that this is a community feedback with integrated with strategic goals that they are trying to achieve here. And that's why you see that quite soon you see first the ones with higher votes because they are sorted by number of votes, but very soon you see that the number of votes reduces quite drastically, and there's items there that have only one vote, or I guess that was the person that added it there to the roadmap. Another part that I think is very important and very interesting is that it looks like Instagram is probably their biggest platform, mainly because it appears in a ton of the features. And I think that the public roadmap is a great way to gather your input from your community, from your users, and also to maintain transparency. I think that this is very important, something very valuable for not just Buffer themselves, but also for the community, for the users to understand where Buffer is going in the future. And I think that the fact that they are basically having a healthy mix of highly voted topics and also very low voted topics shows the community that their feedback is important, but there's also other strategies that Buffer has to take into account, which I think is great. Probably the community doesn't care so much. I really have not dive into this, but probably they understand that there's other priorities that are very important. So what I would say that what could be improved in this roadmap is that first of all, I think that what is in the in progress columns is basically a set of safe bets. So basically, there are quality of life, UX items, different features that are going to help the life of the existing customers, but it doesn't seem to be pushing the vision, or it doesn't seem to have a strategic goal other than reinforcing that down strategy and maybe a little bit that publish API or public API, sorry, strategy. But it doesn't seem to be promoting growth outside these areas. So the next one that I think that they should consider is that where is the business impact? Okay, right now the business impact seems to be in retention, but there is not clear, at least not to my understanding, features here that are driving growth. For example, new channels and potentially new users. It seems that the way of getting new users typically is going to be by opening new channels. And I think that this maybe is a little bit in a moment that there's not a ton of momentum in this roadmap. And that's maybe my, again, biased understanding of the roadmap, especially since I don't see that there are new integrations in the either in progress, planned, or Sunday columns, which means that there is no easy opportunities for growth at this point for Buffer. That's, again, to my understanding, not, and I'm again talking about growth when it comes to product growth. I'm not talking about maybe geographic growth. That might be something that are working, things that are related to go-to-market activities. I don't know. I don't have any visibility on those ones, and there might be growth levers in that side as well. But what I would say of what can be improved, I see that this roadmap, I see being very focused on pleasing existing customers, which is a very fair and good strategy. I'm not saying that that's not bad. But I don't see that there's a clear new direction to the product, at least with the current roadmap. It looks a little bit to me that the vision has been achieved and there's no new clear goals other than maybe expanding in the let's say the wide part, the number of channels that they have available. That's what I see currently from the Buffer offering, but it looks to me like the vision for Buffer, has been already achieved. And now let's go through some of the recommendations and notes that I have gathered by doing this review and seeing or trying to understand if this roadmap is aligned with their strategy. So first of all, I would say that one of the findings that I have here is that adding new integrations for Buffer seems to be a bottleneck. When you look at the roadmap, there are a ton of items that are blocked by an API limitation. And this is probably because there's no standard to integrate between different social media channels. Each social media is going to have their own dedicated public API. And of course, they are not going to care about integrations, because if they had to have a standard, that means that people could move from one to another very easily, and probably that's not something that they want to see. So probably that's not something that is going to be easy to be solved by Buffer. And to my understanding, it looks like every time that they had to add a new integration, that means that they're going to have to work a ton of time in doing that integration, in doing the support for the APIs. And probably this is why those items are moving quite slow. But this is potentially a problem for them to grow and to support that wide part of the down and wide strategy, because it's difficult to get wide when growing those integrations is basically what it looks to be a massive bottleneck. Another comment that I have is that the community votes don't drive the priority, but they also have importance of the priority. And I think that they have a good balance of having both those more strategic items that are, or sometimes maintenance items, I'm pretty sure that there are those ones as well, and also the items that are going to help support the needs or the demands or requests from the community. So there is a clear alignment, again, as I said, with the strategic goals, and there are items that are supporting some of the strategies, especially the one that is focused on retention. but I don't see many items realistically in the growth part of an expansion part of the strategy. I don't see that there's much there. There's the public API, but the public API, I'm not sure how much that gives growth, at least not in the immediate future. It's probably something more for existing customers than opening new markets. Maybe it opens new markets in the future, but that always takes quite a big amount of time, in my opinion. So I would say that currently this roadmap shows a team that is very focused on retention, which probably is very important for them because of the being profitable, maybe not invest too much at this point on extra costs, and maybe that's something that's going to come later, but it's not supporting very well the growth of their user base. And of course, again, this take it with a pinch of salt because I don't have all the information and all the understanding of what is behind Buffer's strategy. But at this point, I would say that this roadmap feels more like a maintenance roadmap to a certain degree than a momentum or growth roadmap. And they're staying in shape, but yeah, I wouldn't say that they are going for the new goals at this moment. And again, if somebody from Buffer is watching this, I would first apologize because I don't have all the understanding of what you are doing and what is behind closed doors. I'm just trying to see and understand from this roadmap what is the strategic alignment. Why I do this? I have done this work in different companies in the past, looking into the roadmap, seeing how they align with the strategy and helping teams to really focus on growth and creating business impact by driving strategic alignment. If you think that this is something that would be interesting for your company, please take a look at the links below because I have a course that you can take and help you learn how to do this process on your own, or we can work together over a 2-week sprint to help you identify what are the potential gaps in your roadmap and how to start fixing them and really looking into how to drive business impact. Go check out the links in the description down below. And I would like to again thank Buffer for being so open, having a public roadmap, having a public strategy that they're talking about that can help me analyze and do this exercise and show how it is done for people to understand how to look into the roadmaps and how to see if this is or not a strategic way of driving your development, what your product teams are doing. If you think that there are some public roadmaps or you want to submit your own roadmap from your company, I would treat it anonymously. So if you are worried about that, please let me know. I will put a link also below so you can actually submit either public roadmaps that you see out there that you think I could be looking into, or if you have your own roadmap that you would like to share. Leave a comment if you like this type of video where I go and review roadmaps and see if they are aligned with the strategy and if they are aligned and building business impact for the companies. If you want to know more about how to align your roadmap and your strategy, go check out this video. I'll see you in the next one.